Thank you for being here. It's a scary thing for me to come here today. This is the first live talk I've done in a year. Now, some of you stopped at my booth and I gave you one of those egg timers, yes? If you have it, hold it up. There is a purpose behind that. When you meet a person that is our age and you ask them how they are, you turn it over. And that's how long they get to whine and carry on. And I'm going to do my whining because I do have 2 knees, 1 hip, staph infection in the left hip in 2011, and last summer, disc strep infection in my spine. So you saw me doing all this stuff. It was really just a limbering up. So you can use that egg timer for the whining of yourself. Wake up in the morning, go into the bathroom, turn it over, that would be enough of that. You can also use it for the weather. How many of you will really give me sort of a Catholic confession here if you spoke to anyone about the weather today? If you will speak about the weather, don't bother. We can feel it. There are so many things to observe besides the weather and the ailments. And I'm going to try to alert you to the kinds of things I'm seeing. And I think this is a very exciting time for me because I don't give a rip what people think anymore. I see things and I talk to the people. And I don't know, they maybe think I'm like a weirdo or something, but I don't care. Let's just start this off. How many of you have ever gone to the post office? Okay. And you stand in line, right? This is a perfect place for me to practice a speech because I'm there and I'm looking and I'm observing. Now, I'm sorry, I did dance with the minister over here, but I think he'll be able to accept this. I went to the post office. I will not say where. I will not say what town. 2 women are in charge there. One is very serious. Oh, she is just keeping account of all of it. And I like her. She's very efficient. And so I said to her one day, I will not say her name. I'll say Matilda. That's not her name. So, Matilda, what makes you smile? She said, thinking of sex. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands of how many of you thought of that today. But if we are fully human and we are fully alive, how do you think you got here? It's an odd thing, isn't it, how we begin? As my mother in Ireland used to say, it all started in fun. And so, did you come from a serious family? How many of you did? Sometimes Lutheran. I have a half of a Lutheran upbringing, and they were very strict. They're not going to play cards. And is that your thing, playing cards? Yeah, she loves that. She just named them off. I'm going the minute this is over, I'm going to play cards. I don't know, she's going to play poker and red hot and strip. No, I guess you're not going to do a strip. I don't know why I'm thinking of that so much today. That's not in the script. So family, they bring that, don't they? So you know, some of you stopped at my table, that I have a friendship with a man who escaped from Poland. We also see on the news every day people coming to our country, and they don't look like us, and they don't speak like us, and we get ticked. What's the matter with these people? Yeah, well, how did your ancestors look? I had a German grandma, 4'11", who rode in steerage as a German girl from farming the Volga River area for Catherine the Great. And when Catherine took the money, the little German people got in the boat and rowed in the bottom of the boat. When Catherine Wilker, got to Wisconsin, she wore a scarf every day. She called it a babushka. She wore it. She never wore makeup, ever. She never read English, ever. She didn't speak big German, she spoke low German. She went to her German church, she didn't play cards, she didn't sing, she didn't dance, and she wore a babushka, and she was pretty angry for a lot of time. Why? Well, I don't think it was the greatest trip. Not like you see on TV, going off to the Hawaiian Islands in a cruise boat. And so I watched her. I didn't think she was a very fun grandma. She was kind of crabby. She had 23 pregnancies. Oh my gosh. 10 living children. Dad was the oldest. This was a serious group. Farming, logging, whatever they were doing in Oshkosh. They were not getting wealthy. Other side of the family, woo-hoo! Irish, the Flanagans. Lived within 10 miles of the angry people. Catholic. And they could swear and pray at the same time. Holy name of God, now how the hell are you, they'd say. My grandfather, James Flanagan, was a second generation coming from Roscommon County, where the potato famine had taken place. There is a reason why I have this weight. I honor the potato. In my little book, If Love is Contagious, I Hope You Never Get Well, there is a chapter on beige, eating beige things. They're dangerous. And you can figure out the categories of what those are. Beige, too much beige, round. Now she's smiling. Thank you for doing that. Can you hear me? Everyone can hear me? If you cannot hear me, come right up here and sit here. Most people that can't hear sit in the back, then after it's over, I couldn't hear a thing she said. That's how that goes, doesn't it? I don't want to say I can't hear. Why not? You can't. I did some work for the Starkey Hearing Company, and I watched them go into the woods and the foreign countries and fit children with hearing devices. And the children go from looking like this to this. So they don't seem to think it has to do with being old. They just want to hear. I want you to hear because I might never see you again. And when you're going past, if I'm in the cemetery, say something. Don't tell me what the green sheet said, not as good as I thought it would be or whatever. I prefer the mayor would have talked for an hour or two, whatever you're going to say. So our families really affect the serious or the silly. Roscommon County, and off they came, the Flanagans, and landed, and my grandfather was paralyzed. He had polio when he was 3, and he never walked. He was a farmer. Good choice, huh? He was an Irish musician. My grandmother, very lovely, smart, she played the piano, but they farmed. Can you imagine farming with polio crawling? So he had a board that he would put from the front house stoop out to the field, and the horse would come and kneel down like a circus horse, and he would pull himself up to ride. The cows were never in stanchions. They were loose, and they would line up for milking, and none of them ever stood on him. It was far more like a Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey thing, because the gentleness of the animals knew they were protecting him. So when we grow up and we see, okay, so here's these Irish people all out of their minds, and the Lutheran period, oh, so serious, whatever. But I grew up with some very interesting relatives. Uncle Carlton, wonderful man, lived in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. He was a printer. Always a little bit worried about where the next print job was coming from. You ever worried about that in your business? How many of you ever worried about it? How many are worried about your Social Security right now? God, I hope I live to use it all up. If I don't, I don't know what I'll do. Well, you'll be dead, you won't care. I don't think they have that in heaven, do they? No. You can't come in. You have to give me your last check. Uncle Carlton, the printer, also had something else going on with him. He stopped drinking. And when he stopped drinking, he was not a 12-stepper. That was not happening in that time. But he began to pray, and he had his print shop in his home. And as a little girl, I would go from Milwaukee. Look at all of them. Oh. Yeah. Oh, all the little dark-skinned brothers and sisters are so cute out there. Oh, there's one white pasty kid. That was a mistake, God. A little tanner would have helped. So Uncle Carlton every morning would sit in his easy chair, and he had about 3 prayer books. And he would begin to read various prayers from them. Daily meditation. That's what we call it now. And his dogs, Jiggers, Smokey, Missy. Jiggers was the dog he had when he was drinking. The dog would lie near the chair, and he would have one of those, like not ceramic, but those hard bones. And he would put puppy biscuits into that bone, shove them in there. And the dog was lying there, and Uncle Carlton was praying, and I thought the dog was praying, because the dog sounded like he was doing, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Kingdom come." Uncle Carlton did something. Did I do something bad here, Mr. Microphone? Uncle Carlton did something else that was really incredible to me as a child. He would take my shoulder and hand, and then he would walk me wherever we were going to a restaurant. And as he held my shoulder and my hand, he would say to every person we met, "This is Janie, my niece from Milwaukee." I felt so special. I want to do that with these young people that come in my life. I'm not going to sit over in the corner, well, and then I had my thing and my that and my this and my other thing. And then you look out of your corner of your eye and you see a beautiful kid. Sometimes they're 10. They act weird. I just go right over there and go, "Hi." I don't know what the mother thinks, if she's a lech or whatever. I don't really care. I do this in church when they're in the front pew. I take Post-it notes, and then I just write with one of my dad's magic pens, "Hi, the angels are looking," and I put it on their back. I have a purpose. I want to affirm every human being I come in contact with for as long as I can. And where did that come from? It came from the Uncle Carltons of the world, and I think if I make it to the big time with JC and whoever you think he is, Hindu, I don't care what your belief is, there's somebody that made all this stuff, including you. And if I get there, I'm going to be looking for Jesus, and I hope my uncle will be there. And as I come in, he will say, "This is Janie, my niece from Milwaukee." Wouldn't that be grand? So we are a part of from whence we come, and then we are also a part of that teenage life. Do you remember being a teenager? Who said that? I think you still are a little that way. So my friend Ronnie, named Veronica, Ronnie, when we were teenagers, we had to go to Florida. My dad had a private plane. Oh, help us all with that. And the weather was bad, and we had to land in Valdosta on the way to Florida, where we thought we would be such cool dancers down the beach. Since my baby left me, I had a new place to dwell. It down the street on Lonely Street, Heartbreak Hotel. Remember that? You're looking very serious in the purple there. What was your favorite song? Yes, you. Doesn't have a song. Is that your husband? What do you think of him? You have a husband. How long have you had a husband? So it's working out. For those of us that don't have one, would you mind just giving him a kiss on the cheek? May I have this dance for the rest of my life? Would you be my partner every night? When we're, what's this oh my stuff? Oh, you like it? I thought you weren't liking it. She went, oh my. When you have that record. Who sings that?
I don't.
Do you sing it?
No, I don't.
When we're together, it feels so right. May I have this dance for the rest of my life. Where's Pat Bush? And Annette. Annette, is that you? Annette. Where's Annetta? The lady that sent me the room layout. Well, I gotta tell you, I was scared to come here today because she sent me a picture of your audience last year. And you looked so mean and upset. I thought they are unhappy. I had to have a friend of mine send me an email this morning. It's okay, Janie, they'll like you. Is it going okay so far? Okay. Those of you that can stand up, would you just stand up for a moment, please? Face another person. Okay, we're going to go through 3 little things here. First thing, I want you to let your shoulders slump, your knees drape, your tummy fall. You've really been through it. We know you have had many ailments. Wonderful. It's called passive body language. Woe is me. What happens is you get ticked off. I want you to get ticked off. Get your fists tight. Women, get your lips tight, like those women shopping at the Kmart on Saturday. Men, get the head back, get the big jowls. Give me a beer, I'm watching the game. Now look at the other person that they're ticked off. Wonderful. Now, when this happens to you, I want you to think of this exercise. Inhale the breath of life, exhale the crud. Take a look at the person that's across from you. Put these words behind your heart and behind your eyes. Valuable, sincere, caring, compassionate. Then greet them. Thank you. Now, those of you that can, put your hands to the right. I do everything opposite. Hands to the right for you. Hands up, back, up, back. If we can make it here, we'll make it anywhere. It's up to you. Have a seat. Oh, wow. Thank you. You did that. So off we were on the airplane to Florida when we got stuck in Valdosta, my girlfriend and I. Ronnie and I. It was so silly. We were so silly. So she said, well, what are we going to do? We went into the motel. My parents were in the next room, of course. We didn't know what to do, so we thought we'd read the phone book. And we started A, B, C. Valdosta, Georgia. The last name of the family was Chitty. Chitty. And the first person listed was Bodie. Bodie Chitty. This became our mantra. My friend Ronnie and I, we spread this through all of our friends. How are you, Bodie Chitty, today? And so when I talked to her on the phone, how are you? And then we have this other game. If I call her Bodie, that means she can call me Chitty. So you wouldn't want to end with the one left to do. So I would wish that you could just pass that on. But you know, the world is a very electronic place. Where's that man that I met in the hallway that was worked for Douglas Airline, Information, Prison, Wanakee? I don't know where you were. So I told that story of Bodie Chitty. Well, they looked him up in the phone book, and he had just passed. Oh, I called my friend. She said, oh, I think we were bad calling people that. She said, we'll have to change the spelling. B-O-T-I-E. But you know, you can connect in many, many ways. So I don't know what made you laugh. I don't know what makes you laugh today. I'm looking constantly for something that would be funny. So I'm driving in the car. I'm out there near Victoria. I came in from, oh, it's gone. Oh, my prop is gone. Oh, well, I guess I'll be skipping that part. I bet it's in my suitcase. Well, you can just imagine that you saw it. I'm moving right on. Okay, so let's get into various ailment fixings. Here's the deal. Some of you have had a cataract removed. Anybody? Okay, all right. So I decided I'm going to have that done. I'm going to do it over in Wisconsin when I'm there, and I go under the prep, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then, you know, it's simple. It's not a big deal. And when it's over, I'm laying there, and I hear a man's voice say, Jean, Jean. Well, I don't answer. That's not my name. So now the operation is over. Everyone's leaving the room, and I said to the nurse, is there some other woman in here with me? She said, no, just you. I said, somebody was calling me Jean. And she went over to the manila folder, and she said, oh, look, well, it's such a small writing, he couldn't see. It gives you loss of courage, doesn't it? So the second one was done in Waconia at the Ridgeview Hospital. And so I told that oculist, humorous person, cataract ripper-outer, I said, my name is Janie. Yes, he said, I see that. So I told him about Jean. So he finished the thing and he said, Janie, Janie, Janie. See, he said, I'll remember that forever. I will not call you Jean. So this, having things whipped out is pretty spooky. Pretty spooky. And, you know, what about your knees? Did you have your knees replaced? My knee felt like a frozen rolled roast. You know, when they do it, and they say, can you bend it here? Oh, and then they say, very good. You moved it 1/1,000,000th of a centimeter. Oh, yeah, really good. So the frozen rolled roast came home with me. I was happy that it was on lefty, because that meant I could drive, but not so limber getting out. So we go through a lot of fixing things, and they're not all that funny, are they? But then later they could be. And then they show you that pain chart. When you get out of the surgery, tell us what number pain you feel. Not much, a little, kind of bad, awful, really awful, ah, screaming. So that's 10, the really bad one. So it's good to have a chart so that you know you're not weird, that you're fitting right in. Now, I don't know what you have undergone with burying people you love, losing people you love. Both parents of mine, and I wrote about it, I wrote books about it, I've made CDs about it. My dad had Alzheimer's disease. Daddy, tycoon, businessman, phenomenal guy. So mixed up. And I remember the day I had to take him to the care center because we couldn't take care of him in the home. And I led him to the front desk of the care center and I said, Daddy, I need you to do some work here. And he got right behind the desk and started greeting people. So you still are sort of who you were. And then my mother, whack-o-rama, woo, really bad, really bad. And she didn't remember that he passed. Now, one thing happened, and I called her one morning. She was living in Milwaukee. I said, so how are you doing, Mom? Oh, not good. Your father has a woman up in the attic. I said, really? Yes? Well, of course, my dad had done some Bill Clintoning around. So she was concerned about that, even though he was in paradise. And so I came home to the house there, and she said, you can just go up in the attic. The bed is there, everything. So I go up. Well, it's their marital bed. The double bed. Well, they didn't sleep in it anymore. They had twin beds, and they put the headboard and the footboard up there. I said, he's not there. Mom, he's in heaven. He's not up there. There's nobody up there. And she said, well, maybe not him, but the duplicate. So I found this is really a good thing for me with my own children. If they notice that I'm doing something odd, I just say, it was the duplicate. So those were the funny things, but Uncle Carlton's wife, Aunt Jenny, my godmother, she filled in, 7 years older than my mother. Gee, she was a Sharpie. She was a wonderful typist, accountant, personal secretary of Miles Kimball's Oshkosh, Wisconsin. She could just type, boom. She would just throw it on, bing, 4 carbons, bing, bing. She was just doing that. So she says to me, I want you to go up in the rafters of the basement. Your mother has hidden the good silver in the Budweiser cases, and she's put it up there. Sure enough. A lot of hiding places. All of the trust documents were hidden in record jacket albums in the bottom of the freezer. And you're saying, my gosh, I'm telling you, it was the saddest, most complicated thing, and not being power of attorney. Aunt Jenny saved my assets. She did. Then, okay, Now, my mother whined and she begged and she carried on at Silver Lake in Wachtoma, Wisconsin, 40 miles west of Oshkosh. Henry, I wish we could have a place at the lake. Oh, I just wish we could have a place at the lake. Oh, no, we can't. They're too expensive. I don't think you can. No, no, no. And then he secretly bought a place. And he named it Pearl's Harbor. And he gave her a drawing of it one Christmas. And she adored it. She just absolutely loved it. It just happened to be on the lake where I kissed at least 3,000 boys. It just happened to bring back every memory. And I was unable to sell it because I wasn't power of attorney. Complicated. Now, what I think a power greater than me had in mind was that through divorce, I lost my marital home on Lake Minnewaska. I didn't lose it, he could pay for it. And so I left that lake, and 3 years later, God gave me a free lake. Letting go seems to be so complicated for me. And I really don't talk about this very much, but you need to know. The girl I was in 1976 was addicted to alcohol. And through treatment, I celebrated 40 years this January of one day at a time. But it wasn't me. It was something about letting go, which is very hard. You see, I came in here, I wanted to do the dance, I wanted to hear the band, I wanted to do the thing, and there's Mary Hannah, and she sold me bags for my books for 500 years, and she shows up, she says, I'll sit at your table, do you want me to do, oh, that's very nice. Wow, that God threw a saint at me today. How sweet is that? So we look at that, and there was this place called Pearl's Harbor. And I would take my mother there, and she would sit on the patio. She didn't know where she was, but I didn't care. I took her to Pearl's Harbor. And then, when she passed, I restored it. And I restored it because another wisdom figure, and I want you to know how smart you are. How many in this room are over 7-0? You are so smart. You are so wise. You know a lot, don't you? Do you know how much you know? You know a lot. You've been through hell in a handbasket, and you came out the other end, and you know that your name is not Jean, whatever your name is. And so we are these wisdom figures, and so in the midst of this Pearl's Harbor saga, my dad's sister, Auntie M, showed up. And I loved her so. She was a wave. Do you know what a wave was? It was like a whack. And when she joined the waves, I had a wave costume uniform too. And I remember when she signed up. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. You see, we are so wise, we are so smart about this country. This country, there is no other country like this country. What do you think they all try to come here for? Just because you don't like it? Maybe they think you'll die, leave room for them? Anchors away. So Auntie M calls me and she says, I'm coming over to Pearl's Harbor. Really? I said, I'm kind of nervous about it. You know, I just really don't see, I really don't own it or anything like that. And she took her arthritic finger and she pointed it at me and she said, fix this place up. Your father would want you to. Oh. His sister. She knew. So that very afternoon that she was there pointing her arthritic finger, I got in the car and I drove a little bit north of Watoma because they grow Christmas trees there. And I saw a tree on the side of the forest. And I went in the trees, and they were big, 8 foot, 12 feet Christmas trees growing in the warmth of the sand and the branches brushing against me, and I was crying. Please, these are angel trees. They're brushing against me. And on the side, a tiny tree, all beat up. When I left the lake, I came back to Minneapolis, and I thought about some of you had seen me 100 years ago. North Memorial Hospital, Control Data, American Businesswomen Association, Medtronic, Cargill. I spoke at all of them. And some of you were there. And so that Christmas, I wrote one page, once upon a time, in a field of Christmas tree seedlings, there stood a tiny tree, and she wanted to grow. As she was growing, she thought about things she was grateful for: the sun, the wind, the rain, delicious on her needles. And while she was growing, she looked down at the animals and the birds seeking shelter. And then she saw the trimmers coming. And she said, I won't be scared when the trimmers come. They will shape me to reach to the heaven. Hey, folks, that's what's happening to us. You are an old tree, and you are getting trimmed. One knee at a time. And so what happens to this tree? She just grows on. On the last page, she says, at last I understand the magic was today. Standing patiently, she looks up and says, thank you for life, thank you for dreams, and thank you for choosing me to grow today in this world with its many possibilities. Some of you came to the table. Don't you have this on audio? Oh, I have so much audio, and nobody buys audio. She learned, if still not chosen, from living with the trees, life offers joy and wonderment and possibilities. It wasn't for children. It was for grown-ups. It was for us. It was for us because we're growing. Does the tree get taken down? No. Does the tree get trimmed? No. She just grows. And that's it. That's kind of what we're doing. And what will you do when people are coming to you and they're saying, well, you really should clean out the home? Are you doing that? My children don't care about silver, china, wonderful things of Aunt Jenny's from hat pins. Not interested. But I found some things I thought were very interesting. "73 of these rain hats. They used to get their hair done, ladies. There was no gel. Horst had not brought out his Aveda products at that time. And so the rain hats. How interesting. What will you keep? And how serious do you want to be? I had a bunch of my mother's everyday silver. Oh, I just felt so bad. I know what I do, but I know what I do. So I took it to one of my meetings. I won't say how many steps. And I said, who would like a knife? Who would like a spoon? And each person left the meeting with a piece of the, take it home. And they say to me, I still have that fork of your mother's. I said, yeah, do you pray for her? Yes, I do. I think about her then. But we get so serious. All of us get so serious. I belong to a parish called St. Victoria in Victoria, Minnesota. Oh, and they were going to build a new church, 2005. Oh, those committees were very rigid. Oh, they wanted holy cards. They wanted medals. They wanted pictures of saints. And our priest, Father Robert White, said, I hope they won't have a Father Bobble. I immediately ordered 100 of them. And you know, he can say yes or no. And we laughed, and people wanted them. And children wanted one for their room so they didn't feel scared at night. Father Bobble will watch. And we smiled, and we had a contest. Where in the world is Father Bobble? People took him to Mexico, had him out with the bulls, and took the pictures, and we laughed, and we laughed, and of course, we did build a new church. Father Bobble had a golden retriever. She just went to heaven. Oh, in the beginning, when he got her, he rescued her, and she came into the church. And the women, the committee women, one as this, he's bringing a dog in. Oh, look, she shed a hair there. And I watched it, and I watched it, and at the end, she was 16. She went in with the parade in. She laid down. She went to every person that was handicapped and would lie near them for part of the service. People who had funerals asked if she could attend. She attended baptisms. We don't always know. What is so funny about you being, and we get that way. Women get like that. Well, holy hell, you dropped a macaroni, big deal. Then you got a husband in there, what did you do? Then we go out to his workbench, what is this stuff? How many fishing lures do you need? We can't wait to pick on the other guy. It's so silly. Because in the end, you can't take it with you when you go. You can't. And what do you want them to say about you when you die? It was fabulous. Her kitchen floor was so clean you could just eat off of that. He fished all the time, threw them back in, never did eat one. What is that stuff that we do and we get in those patterns? And the older I get and the more sedentary, well, what are they doing? Who's ringing the bell now? Dr. Phil is on. Seven years ago, I was at a National Speakers Association meeting in Minneapolis. I have been part of the National Speakers Association since 1981. The founder, Cavett Roberts, started it. Who were those old speaking people? Zig Ziglar, Dr. Peel, Og Mandino, greatest salesman in the world, Jack Canfield, Patricia Fripp. They're speaking people, they talk. No, they're not stars on, what's the new program? We just turned it off. Not Voice-orama, but what's the other one? Idol. Oh, my word. I just love him. Oh, he's 15. I don't like him. He's 25 now. I mean, so those people helped me so much. And here in Minnesota, we started a chapter. We started it in 1983, and I was the secretary, the vice president, and I was the president, and people came to understand, what is this speaking thing? What is this thing that I'm doing in front of you? Oh, she just is a natural. Oh, BS. This is a learned art. This is a skill. Most people, I don't want to go up in front of a group ever. No, not me, not me, not me, not me. And odd as I am, I liked it. So it's the real deal. My friend Brenda Elsiger, whose book is out there, The Glasses Are on Top of Your Head, her new book. And she came through the trauma of ostomy at age 39. She's 59 now. Can you imagine? Every day, every day, every day. And she's funny. So when she was getting her stuff rebuilt, girl parts, other parts, she told her husband, come in here. They're going to make a custom one for you. So she was summoned to be here today. Some of you came up. I thought they were having Brenda. No, she's speaking. But I'm here. Oh, okay. She's the new kid, sort of, and now there's more. And it's wonderful to be part of something that was the spoken and the written and the oratory word. What a skill. I told some of you out at my table, I'm coaching priests and ministers. Ooh, it's so fun. I'm coaching other people, and they come. I have a guy, please pray for him on Sunday. He's so nice. He is from an island called Mauritius, near Madagascar, 40 miles long, 50 miles wide. And he is an engineer, and he would like to speak. What would he like to speak about? Taekwondo. I'm the coach. Okay. So, what do you do for Taekwondo? Well, you must get balanced. Okay, show me that. Then you must take action. And you must fight the inner enemy. I said, that's not going to go good for speaking. We all have an inner friend. And you've called on your friend, physical inner friend, many times to keep you going. So I was at the speakers meeting, and I looked over, and there was a very handsome, cute fellow to my right. And I said, I'm Janie Jasin. And he said, I'm Jezra Giniak. I said, oh, what country of origin is that? He said, Poland. Oh. So now, senior people, do you ever get into a situation where you have no idea what to say? Yes, I didn't know that day. So I said, well, here's the thing, you know, I grew up in Milwaukee, and they dance the polka from the left to the right, the left, but in Minnesota, up and down like a pogo stick. So, since you're from Poland, what's correct? He just laughed. He left, he called, I want to know you, he said. Okay, I'm busy, I said. He called again, I still want to know you. I opened the door, and then I learned that his tradition of his country merged with my traditions of this country, that he escaped, that he got here. And then one day he called me, he said, you gotta meet me with your car at the Mall of America. He said, I did something. I said, what did you do? He said, I wrote the song. Everybody in North America wants to do the polka. Is it to the left? Is it to the right? Is it up and down? And then he says, my mother used to say, hey, 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 you never, ever polka one way. He wrote the song. So then we went in the studio and we recorded the traditions. And I'm talking about this today because there's room for your traditions. And here's what I found. My children don't want the silver. They don't want the china. They might want that rain hat. I'm not sure about that. They don't want any of that, but they do want things that are written in longhand that I recorded. or that I just simply wrote. And I like those things too. I found the love letters my father wrote to my mother, and she wouldn't leave the farm because she didn't want to leave her dad who couldn't walk. And my father sent a letter. Here's $5, he said. Get yourself an old maid's prayer book, or take the train from Oshkosh down to Chicago where I'm working, and let's get married. Demanding, wasn't he? So when you and I come together, I guess I would like to leave you with this. Just close your eyes if you would. And I have never done this in a talk ever, so if you don't like it, don't write that on that green sheet, though. I believe in all of my heart that we only have a sense of humor when we have a sense of all of the feelings. Angry, lonely, sad, happy. It is then that we appreciate joyfulness inside. One winter's night, I sat in front of the tape player and I wrote this, a voice from somewhere else. I walk with you where you're frightened. I walk with you where you're afraid. I want more good for you than you can imagine that you're worth. Be these things that I say you are, and keep me, your higher power, in your heart. And know this, I am there before you look for me. Amen. I hope you had a good time. I had a wonderful time. And those of you that have the egg timer, use those. One man stood, he liked me. Thank you, sir. We have something called standing ovation in the speaking world, and this is going to be televised, so why don't you all turn and look at that camera and shout, "She was good." Will you do that? Stand up. 1, 2, 3. Amen. Hallelujah.
From infancy into old age, hands carry messages of fascination, love, kindness, creativity, humor, safekeeping, and sacred promises. I love holding your hands. With never-ending love, Mom, or Grammy, or Janie Jasin. For you shall go out in joy and be led forth in peace. The mountains and the hills before you shall burst forth into singing, and all of the trees of the field shall clap their hands. the character, the strength, the bones and flesh of your hands. These are your hands. No one has your hands. Hands that hold children. Hands that hold your sweetheart. Hands that hold grandchildren. No one has your hands. Hands that comfort the sick and dying. Hands that wipe tears and noses. Hands that make you feel safe. No one has your hands. Hands that plant gardens. Hands that prepare meals. Hands that fix things that are broken. Hands that fold laundry. No one has your hands. Hands that turn book pages. Hands that play the piano. Hands that sketch and draw. No one has your hands. Hands that nurture. Hands that shake paws. Hands that applaud. No one has your hands. Hands that hold keys. Hands that steer the automobile. Hands that push a wheelchair. Hands that make bread and pies and cakes and cookies. No one has your hands. Hands that heal. Hands that massage. Hands that rehabilitate. No one has your hands. Hands that give gifts. Hands that bring good to you. Hands that bring good to others. No one has your hands. Hands that hold hands. To walk, to pray, to fold in gratitude and thanksgiving. No one has your hands. Take your hands and place them around your elbows. Hug yourself gently. And then, when you are ready, take your hands and put them gently around someone else. Many hands are laid upon one life. The heart in your hands has made a difference in my life. Thank you to all of the hands that guided me safely from childhood through adulthood. Thank you to my godmother who chose beautiful gloves for Sunday church. Your hand in mine meant safety and love. Thank you to my dear friends whose hands have helped me. Thank you to those who hold hands, praying in a circle. Thank you for working men and women whose hands shape and weld and gather and nurse and style hair and wait on tables. Thank you for trained dogs who fetch for those who cannot use their hands. Thank you to those audiences whose applause affirmed my speaking vocation. Thank you for the hands of caregivers that tended my aging parents. Thank you for hands that anoint and bless. Rabbis, priests, ministers, nuns, and chaplains. Thank you for children's hands, so small, that willingly hold mine. These words came from a meditation exercise created for live audiences. In the act of that meditation, the unique gifts people held within their own hands were discovered and made evident.